All right, we'll get going here in a second. I'm going to post the link for the live broadcast on my council Facebook page, and we'll go from there. There's still some people joining, I see. Okay. Okay. Give me 1 second here. There we go. All right. We are live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube. So if anyone wants to check this out on YouTube or Facebook, it is there. We have, let's see, a couple more people joining. Let me change the host to controller. Perfect. Okay, so welcome everyone to District 1 community meeting. Can everyone hear me? Can I get some thumbs up? Perfect, perfect. I don't hear anybody else. So, oh, there you go, unmuted. Okay, thank you very much for joining on Monday. Different time. I had to work on Saturday. I couldn't do it on Saturday. So, you know, this is the next best option that I had. Got to make this happen once a month. Pretty timely. All of these updates tend to be on days that we're having state ordered COVID updates. So we'll go over what that means for us in the village in South Redondo, the newest updates that we have. So first thing we'll start off with just going over some meeting information. Everyone knows we have, I'm gonna go over the coronavirus COVID-19 updates, a city update, how it affects us, our current updates that we are having in place, as well as some of the updates that the state came out with today, how it affects us. The next thing is I'll talk about the budget. With the budget, the effects, the budget cuts that have affect us here in South Redondo, particularly the fire department. There's some big cuts there. What we're doing in Redondo, how much we've cut out in our budget. Upcoming council items coming up, like for instance, tomorrow night, we've got the commission meetings. And then we also have the Artesia Aviation Corridor Plan. I believe that's this Thursday, I wanna say. I'll have to look it up to make sure. Any other small community updates that we've got, Riviera Village updates, the farmers market's open, outdoor dining, things like that. A couple of COVID updates in the village, and got some other small items, but that's basically it. I didn't have any big questions, I don't think, on via email, but if you guys want to send those to me via email or put them into the chat log on the right hand side, you're more than welcome to do that. That way we can get to those as well. So starting off right now, as you guys know, last weekend, not this past weekend, but last weekend was 4th of July. The LA County shut down all the beaches, that including our beaches down here in the South Bay, Redondo, Hermosa, Manhattan. A lot of people in Venice and Santa Monica didn't really listen to it too much. It wasn't a normal beach day down there for them. From what I was in town, but from what I understood, nobody was on the beaches down here. So that's great. That's really good to hear. South Bay has done a really good job at adhering to the mandatory updates as well as the state updates and wearing their masks. And I'd like to see more people wearing their masks. It's really important. We'll go over that with coronavirus, our impacts here in the South Bay or in the South Redondo. That people really need to understand that it's all around us right now. It's everywhere around us, and we'll go over some updates on that, that you guys know how close it's hitting the home right now. So our current situation in Redondo, our orders are regarding street sweeping. A lot of questions on that. The city manager, it's in his shoes to do enforcement of street sweeping, parking enforcement. So we are currently doing street sweeping in Redondo. It's going around as normal scheduled, but we are not ticketing cars that are in the way, and that will remain as such as long as shelter in place is happening. And one of the reasons why is because we're not sure, like if we go regress our opening to closing again, now we have less places or people not going to work, even more people not going to work, there'll be less places to park. So our city manager has decided to not do parking enforcement. Other cities like Hermosa, Manhattan have started parking enforcement again. So that's in his wheelhouse. Other than that, our city is still doing like drive-by inspections. No public is allowed inside of City Hall right now. Everything is done remotely as much as possible. From building inspections and everything else that you could possibly think of. So, our police department is really hampered by it as well. They have masks they've been giving out. They've been dealing with the public. We have been lucky in Redondo with the city staff, and we've been minimally hit with staff being infected with the coronavirus. So we've been very lucky on that. Newsom had an update today. I haven't fully read the entire update. I believe it affects outdoor dining. So no bars are allowed to be open. No indoor dining are allowed to be open. No gyms, no movie theaters, of which we don't have any. Anything that's indoor is not allowed. Everything is outdoor. And we'll get to the Riviera Village and regarding the outdoor dining and the phases that we just went through on that. But we have plenty of outdoor dining. And if you guys went by yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening, or last couple nights, it's been absolutely packed in the Riviera Village. It's been really cool to see so many people out there supporting local restaurants and dining outside. We have a fantastic environment for it. So that really came in the nick of time. Other than that, does anyone have any questions regarding the state update or city update? That's pretty much the questions that I been getting for the last few weeks. Does anyone have any questions regarding the city? If we're doing anything different, closing anything, opening anything? If you don't, I'll move on to the next thing. But that's pretty much what I have gotten by people an update for the city. So by the way, everything's going to be done remotely. So everything's continuing Zoom. So Zoom meetings for all the commission meetings and council meetings as well. I appalled by not wearing masks. Yes, I hear you on that. Masks are very important. I've got my fluorescent one right here. It's really important, you guys. I'll say this as a side note. There was a restaurant in Riviera Village that had multiple employees infected with the coronavirus, and they got shut down, or they shut themselves down. It's important that people notice that there were that has the potential to really explode. So when you have an employee serving food or drinks, contacting multiple people, it's there. So in the village, we had a restaurant that had employees that got infected with the virus. There's also somebody that we all know, I'm not going to say his name, but we all know, everyone who's watching right now knows who he is, and he was infected with the coronavirus. Just got back home from the hospital 2 days ago, I believe it was 2 days ago, and he's doing fine now. He's in his 14-day quarantine period. He'll be done with his quarantine in the next couple of days. He was diagnosed, I believe, on the 4th of July, the 3rd of July, one of the two. So there are people around us that we know have been affected. So keep yourselves clean, stay away, stand 10 feet away from people. You know, they say 6, just do it 10. Don't be coughing over everyone. Wear your masks. Wash your hands. Keep yourselves clean and safe. So who is enforcing? You know, there is no real enforcement right now. In fact, actually, let me go to numbers so everyone knows how serious this actually is. I pulled this stat up. It was July 10th, so 3 days ago. We have 274 cases in Redondo Beach, 0.4% of our population. 9 people have passed away, 6,522, which is roughly 9.4% of our population. So just under 10% of Redondo Beach has been tested, which is great. And remember, and a single individual, if tested twice, will only show up once on the testing. Okay, so if you get tested once in June, again in July, that might be 2 tests, but it's only 1 person. That's really important to understand. It's also important to understand that the tests can be only 60% positive. So there are some people who have taken the test and then take the test again 2 or 3 days later, and take a test again another 2 or 3 days, and they showed up positive. So that's important to notice. I myself have taken the blood test. What is that word? The antibody test, and I came up negative back in June. It was in mid-June, June 15th or so. So, and again, that test is not 100% positive, correct either. So just so you guys know, 10% of the population has been tested in Redondo, 274 cases. City of Manhattan Beach has exploded in cases in the last few weeks. They are talking, I think last night they had a council meeting regarding forcing or doing enforcement of wearing masks out in public. I think we need to get people to, you know, either Beach City's Health District out there, getting flyers and getting people to really understand it is important. Those, you know, whether you like it or not, this virus is rampant around us right now, and it's going around like crazy. So let's see. I don't see any questions or comments on that, so I'm going to move on next to the next item, which is discussion on the budget. We passed our budget last month, and the budget had about $9 million worth of cuts to it. We have a $96 million budget in Redondo Beach, $9 million worth of cuts, so you can do the math from there. It includes 32 positions that have been cut. So that is 30 open positions, meaning positions that nobody was in. People had retired or left or quit or whatever. They're open positions. So we cut 30 of those positions, and 2 positions, including 2 filled positions. So there were 2 people we actually let go. It was our risk assessment, risk advisor in human resources, and our manager at the South Bay Performing Arts Center. So those are 2 positions, 2 people that were let go in Redondo. You know, these are real cuts. These are real problems. Everyone's hoping that their budget comes back quickly with sales tax revenues, hotel tax revenues. And the budget does expect about a 30 to 40% actual revenue of what we've been getting in past prior years in the summer months, with about a 60% revenue what we've been getting in the spring. So next spring, winter time, 60, 70%. So very conservative as to how much money we expect to come back. Sales tax revenue is very minimal. The only thing that our bright spot in our tax revenues and general fund is, I believe, our real estate taxes. So property taxes and we have a title transfer tax fee license in Redondo Beach. So those are the good points in there. Jerry, I know you're on the Budget Finance Commission. If you want to jump in there and say anything with the budget, let me know. Put your hand up, or just jump in, say anything you want to say. Fire cuts. So just so you guys know, fire department took a real beating. 5% cuts in our police and fire public safety cuts, and about 15% cuts in all other departments. 5% doesn't sound like much, but in the fire department, the vast majority of your funding is going directly to labor and overtime. So of that 5%, one of the two big places that money is being cut, one is off the ladder truck. So in Redondo, we have a ladder truck, that big ladder truck, 65 feet long. It requires somebody in the back to drive it, obviously someone in the front to drive it, and they have a fire captain who's in charge of the equipment itself. Now, with that said, that's 3 people. So we're down to 3 people now. That used to have 4 people on that truck. So that's a 25% cut. I specifically said no to our budget because I don't accept that cut. That's a cut to our public safety here in South Redondo. We need that ladder truck fully staffed, because we have the Esplanade, we have the large apartments, we have the Legato building that caught on fire. The ladder truck was used in all of those areas. And what's important about that is when you send someone a fire truck to or fire engine equipment to a fire, you don't send one individual in, you send 2 at a time. So now that we have 3 people on that fire truck, they have to wait until more resources show up, whether it's Torrance, whether it's from North Redondo, Manhattan, LA County, Hermosa, wherever it might be. We have to now wait for those resources to show up. And that to me is an unacceptable cut. I think we can cut. I made a big point about it in our budget discussions about cutting a battalion chief position. We have a fire chief and 3 battalion chiefs. And it's my belief that we could cut one of the battalion chiefs. They're about $350,000 to $400,000 a piece, each one of those positions. We're saving about $500,000 on the ladder truck through cutting that one position. It's not something, I don't believe we should be cutting frontline fire safety service when we can cut management and we can do other cuts in our management side on the fire department, reorganization, just like we did do in the police department, do reorganization to find those savings and not do frontline firefighter cuts. I don't, so I specifically voted no on the budget for that particular reason. The other thing is the one item we did not accept, staff. City staff recommended a huge cut to the harbor patrol, a 1/3 reduction. So basically there are 3 shifts in the harbor patrol: A shift, B shift, and C shift. So every 3 days you get a new shift, group of people. There are 2 people. City staff recommended to cut that 3rd shift out. So every 3 days or every 5 days, that fire station in a harbor patrol would go dark. No one would be there. I did not find that an acceptable way of doing of cutting the revenue or cutting the budget down there. I think it's highly irresponsible. Again, cutting the public safety down in the harbor while they're not used very much, when they are used and a couple of times a year for fires on boats. Fires on boats can spread very quickly to other boats. That harbor patrol is used on land. They're both paramedics, so they can be backing up paramedic calls. They can back up with Baywatch in the harbor. There's many things that they're used for, so they're very, very important. So one of the things I did was I immediately contacted LA County Fire Department, particularly LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn's office. And I went through my connections with Supervisor Hahn's office, and we had a conversation with County Fire. And County Fire oversees the lifeguard division. And so I had a meeting with them back in early June or mid-June, and they said they were willing to have a conversation with us regarding taking over some of the hours of service that we have in the harbor, and they would do some sort of a cost sharing and service sharing. So whether that is they take over that third day, whether we have service during the day and they have service at night in the harbor, whatever that may be, but they are open to having those discussions. They are currently meeting right now. City management and County Fire and Supervisor Hahn's office are meeting right now with that. So that's a huge win. I was able to get that in to the budget and have that as part of the budget motion to move that forward. So making sure that we don't have that gap in service down in the harbor. Kind of related to the budget is the dog park. On the same council meeting we have, I don't know if you guys know this, but any of you that have dogs, we do have a dog park on 190th up by the Morel House. It's in really bad shape. Southern SoCal Gas, Sempra Energy, they are doing a big project down in the back end of the north end of the dog park area. They're giving us an extra $60-something thousand, $68,000 and change, and we have allocated that money to the dog park itself. So the dog park has an extra $68,000 coming to it to be used by the Friends of the Dog Park for upgrades and maintenance and anything that they feel that they need to be have happen over there. Third-party plan checks. So one thing that I also got through is for the plan check department. So community development, where they do, if you submit plans for your business or house to be renovated, they are going to go back and say, a lot of other cities do third-party plan checks. What does that mean? That means if you are a business or a homeowner and you submit plans to build a new structure or renovate something, you could hire this third party and they will do the plan check for you instead of the city. They have a quicker turnaround time. They do things a little bit faster, a little bit a different way. They do it's a different process, and some people are more comfortable with that. It costs a few extra dollars, but if you're a business and you want to get your plan checks done fast, or your house, that is a great option. A lot of other cities do it. There's no reason why we shouldn't do it. Our community services development department is really, really busy. The other thing I got through is on the fire department side is we need to start having a conversation. We're cutting in the fire department. We're not just cutting fat. We don't have any fat left. We're not just cutting meat. There's no more meat left. We're actually cutting into actual bone on our fire department. When we're cutting staff on a ladder truck, going down by 25%. At the very end of the meeting on the budget, I got a conversation started with Manhattan Beach and possibly El Segundo to look at what benefits that we might have with Manhattan Beach and El Segundo if we were to start working with them in an administrative fashion, or with training, with many other various ways of doing business. So, they run their own fire departments. We run our fire department. Why are we working separate? We are in their city nearly every single day, or vice versa in ours every single day regarding paramedic services. So we need to find those areas where we can work together and save some of that money. And like I said, have the personnel that we need. So that's what I have as a quick update to the budget as a high level. Gil, I see you have your hand up, and I think Jerry, I'll make you next if you want to say something. Gil, do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, concerning back to the dog park issue of the $60,000.
Yep.
We have made quite a few attempts. I'm president of the dog park and have been for 15 years. We have seen some improvements in the dog park because we've been dealing directly with the workers, although they've been cuts to their operations as well in order to make improvements. Now, we understand that the $60,000, we have made numerous attempts to talk to people from the city to determine how that money is to be used, and the city is refusing to speak to us. Okay, I have CC'd you on several of the updates that we are requesting, and evidently there is a plan in place somehow that one of your staff people have provided, yet refuses to show it to us. My concern is that is the city council going to speak to the Friends of the Dog Park who go there and who've been working as much as possible with Public Works people now recently. There's been vast improvements there. Yet what we don't want to do is squander the $60,000 that's there on unneeded stuff or a person's personal idea of how it should be. In fact, it's gone to a point of where for the past 7 months, I have asked every month repeated requests concerning updates of just repairs of the fence. And what has occurred is that it's fallen on deaf ears, which it basically prompted a GoFundMe, attempt that we are now trying to raise our own money in order to fix it. What we don't want to do is fix the fence only to have the city come in and then redo it and just waste everybody else's time and money.
Right.
We've got quite a bit of the community that is behind us on this, yet no one from the city is talking to the community or the Friends of the Dog Park at all.
That's very concerning to me. I saw one of those emails come through. I think I talked to Todd about that individually, since Todd has a dog and his district kind of goes up next to that. I believe I talked to him about that. I will follow up with you, Gil, and talk to Todd and then go from there. The fact that the city's not reaching out to you, that money has been allocated directly to the dog park through one of the funds that we use, one of the management funds. So I don't know what's going on with that. I'll reach out and find out. I'm glad you're letting me know again. I remember, like I said, I remember looking at an email from you on that, and so I've written that down right now, and then I'll get back to you and find out.
Okay, one other thing with that, my understanding is that in the discussions I had with John LaRock was that they were planning on using it to actually improve Dominguez Park, not the dog park. Okay, which is a big difference between the two. And our concern again is that if there are plans in place, although he's assured me that somehow someone from the parks in our city council was going to reach out to us, and that request was about 2 years ago. We made requests, and again, I will acknowledge that Public Works has been stepping up lately during the virus. We've had a lot of good improvements. People are seeing improvements to the park, which prompted a outpouring of, I think we're up to $12,000 on a GoFundMe because they're believing that nobody else is going to step up. Okay, we want to work with the city, but we don't want to do is waste people's money or time on things that don't matter. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got that written down. I'm gonna reach out to Todd. Todd, I've been worked a lot with Todd on the dog park, and we specifically looked at money came in. We talked about that, and he and I have been talking a lot regarding how much work our dog park in Redondo needs. When I go to other dog parks in other cities, I'm blown away by how nice they are. They have 2 separate dog parks. They have one for small dogs, one for big dogs, and they have water running in the middle. They have some fake grass. They have shade area for both the dog owners and the dogs. It's really cool, actually, in the fenced-in area that they have, the way it works. A lot we can do with that. So yeah, absolutely. I'll look into that for you, Gil, and I'll get back to you and find out. It's very concerning, like I said. Gentile, thank you for that. Yes, I did not realize that transfer tax was really passed as a temporary tax. Well, when was the last time a temporary tax gets actually sunsetted? Yeah, that never happens. It always goes $2.2 per $1,000 sales price. Yep, we actually get a significant amount of money. We're the only ones in the South Bay that have it, and we get about 2.5 million. I want to say 2.25, 2.5 million. I want to say. Jerry, do you have anything to say on the budget? I know we have a subcommittee that you guys just set up last week, Thursday.
Yes, yeah, we set up a subcommittee to take a look at the CalPERS issue, the payment for unfunded liability, and it has the added responsibility of looking at workers' comp. There are 3 people on that subcommittee because of the Brown Act. We could only have a max of 3 people. So that was just appointed last week. We haven't met yet. Hopefully we can come up with some ideas. Also had a question, Nils.
Yeah.
I know that with the current budget, we had consultants give us an estimate of what they thought sales tax would be and the DOT. And I understand roughly how they forecast that, roughly declining to 0 to 25% for this quarter, then increasing over the next 3 or 4 quarters. I was not able to attend or to sit in on the last couple of city council meetings, but just curious if the question came up, what happens if that forecast, instead of being too pessimistic, was too optimistic? The way it looks now in California, we may well be shut down again, and things may stay worse for a little longer. Was there any discussion at City Council about what we would do if that $8 or $10 million reduction in revenue was something more than that? I mean, obviously we've got to cut expenses somewhere, but just curious about whether those were identified or areas that were discussed.
So yeah, it's a great question. We did not actually specifically address, I don't think we specifically addressed regarding if the financial outlook is worse. And the few times that we approached the subject regarding what happens if it is worse, they basically said, we have the CalPERS reserve funds, which we have a couple $1 million left in there. The Tidelands and Uplands funds have, the Tidelands funds have a couple $1 million in there. So there's wiggle room in there. I believe also the one thing they said regarding these funds, or I should say the budget, is they don't plan, if somebody quits or retires, they don't plan on filling that position. So I think that would be the plan of attack. If the budget is worse in 6 months from now or 3 months from now, that's the way they plan on managing the budget. And that's the biggest tool you do have in a municipal and any government budget, because 60, 70%, 80% of your budget is labor costs or our labor costs. So you manage that. If you can't, and remember, you can't cut wages because you have to go through the unions for that, right? And get approval. You can't do furloughs. That requires approval through the unions as well. And that's a long process. I've talked about that to try to start that process as well. We might need to do that. So we didn't really go in very much specific details about what happens if the city budget is worse in 3 months or 6 months from now. And I think you're absolutely right, Jerry. It could very well be far worse. I hope it's not. They did have a very kind of a conservative budget. I think they were expecting this economy to really come back quickly over the summer and particularly the fall. But I think you're right, especially with these new orders today. I don't see that happening. I think that's going to end up being a big problem. So, that's all I can say really to that. And hopefully it doesn't happen. TOT tax will be decimated. Absolutely. There's no TOT taxes, a transit occupancy tax. It's a bed tax. Sales taxes, we don't get that much. We get about $8.5 million, which it's a lot. It's our second highest revenue. But we have outdoor dining that's been coming back here, Riviera Village and other places. So, that's going to help. People are buying more stuff online now instead of in person. So that helps. We don't rely that much on, actually we don't, I actually have to take it back. We don't even have any real employee taxes. So other cities have a headcount employee tax. We don't have any of that. We have a business license tax. Yeah, we are deficit spending in the Tidelands Fund. Tidelands is basically the harbor. The harbor is split up into 2 sections. The Tidelands is a section. We're deficit spending about $2.5 million on the Tidelands and Uplands this year. That means because of all the businesses like the restaurants that are not paying their leases right now in the harbor, that's going to be another hit. While we expect them to pay in the future, they might not. There's been a couple businesses down the harbor that have already shut their doors. So we're not getting those lease revenues from them. So it's going to be tough. The bright spot that I do see is, as I do work along the beaches, I see a lot of people along the coastline. So I'm imagining a lot of people are coming down to the harbor and parking in the parking garages and the parking areas. And so we get a lot of revenue from that. So I think that could be a bright spot. Parking meters, in the city, you know, we did this parking or this garden patios in the Riviera Village. But if you guys notice, the Triangle parking lot is empty. So that's a lot of area where we can get some revenue. So yeah, it's bleak right now. So it's a good question. I'm not sure. We'll reevaluate during the mid-year budget cycle in January, February. February is when we get the mid-year budget. It's an update to our current budget, and then we get the end of year budget as well. I mean, in December, meaning the end of year is from the prior year. So we'll find out how badly we did in this last quarter, Q4 of 2019-2020, and we'll see how much we had to dip into our reserves to pay for the COVID problem. Now, one thing I've been saying for a few months now is that we might have to end up selling some of our assets that we have to start paying for some of these budgetary items. I think that could be a real possibility. When I say that, our assets meaning stocks and bonds and things like that. So I forgot the exact number how much we have in savings. I think if Eugene Solomon's there, he can pipe up. He knows that number. But you know, listen, we are no different than any other city. Every locality, the state of California has a $54 billion budget shortfall. They had a $30 billion surplus last year. Think about that for a moment. A $30 billion surplus. They had $15 billion of extra revenue that they collected that they didn't have a budget for. That's on top of the $14 billion surplus that they had put aside. So they had $30 billion on the side, and then we've now swung to the other side to a $54 billion negative. That's an $80 billion change and change. So that's huge, and every city is the same. Every city is being hit hard. The good thing is our real estate taxes and real estate property taxes, and we're going to truly find out about that number coming in October, November, December of this year, when everyone starts paying or doesn't pay their property taxes. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to look at. You know, county fire option, that might have to go back on the table. We might not have an option or choice, but that's going to be tough too, because the county itself has a $954 million shortfall. They were not hit as hard though. They are not cutting as much. I'm not sure why. I didn't look at their budget in detail, but their revenue shortfalls are not anywhere near what the cities are. Cities are being hit the most. They're probably also using one-time funds. They have a lot of extra one-time funds, the county. Let's see. Anyone else has a question? Rolf, Tidelands runs out of money. Does $550,000 pay for the next 30 years fund factory buyout gone like a general fund? So when the Tideland runs out of money, does the $560,000 per year for the next 30 years for the fund factory buyout have to come out of the general fund? Yes. So not quite. Yes and no. So remember, the Tidelands is self-funded with money that is the Tidelands. Any money that's generated in the Tidelands in the harbor has to stay in the harbor as per state, because the state actually owns that land. We can take that money out under circumstances such as overhead costs. So for instance, our fire service, harbor patrol, fire service, portions of our public works that spend time down in the harbor, they are allowed to take money out. Since we have been running last many years as a net positive to that fund, now we are running at a net deficit, $2.5 million just in the Tidelands fund this year. So when that runs out of money, we will be taking money from the general fund or other places, or shutting down services. That's a lot of money. And meanwhile, and remember that fund factory buyout, we have not signed a new lease for that location. That's 30,000 square feet. We're not getting any revenue for, so it's actually much greater than that. We're losing about $150,000, I believe, in revenue, plus the parking, plus the ancillary things. So for instance, when people come out of the fun factory, they also go to Quality Seafood, and vice versa. it's one of the main draws down there. So it's going to be a big hit. We're going to find out what's going to happen down in the harbor. You know, luckily we don't have a large mall being built down there with a movie theater, because that would have been opened up this summer. It's supposed to be opening up. Fun factor was $9,000 a month in rent plus percentage of revenue. Yeah, so it's about 120, I want to say $130,000 I think we were getting. It's a really old lease, by the way. That was a 50-year-old lease, and he was getting things I think at $1 a square foot, I want to say, or 75 cents a square foot. You know, Redondo's made some odd deals in business deals in the last 50 years, 60 years. So let's see. Any other questions on the budget? Anyone else? Subcommittee? Jerry, do you want to talk about the subcommittee at all? Anyone want to have any questions on the budget?
Just a quick comment on the subcommittee. I'm on it. Eugene Solomon is on it, and Jason Conroy. So those are the three folks, and we'll be meeting, reporting back to the Budget and Finance Commission, which will in turn report to the City Council. Perfect.
Great. Yeah, and that's going to be important to hear about what you guys have to say on that. You know, and that's something that actually people haven't been talking about. So the stock market going down as much as it has, it's recovered significantly, dramatically those last few weeks. I don't know what the percentage that it is, but what's important is CalPERS does what's called its true up to the previous year, and that I believe shows up in December or January for the following year. So any money that they lose in the stock market this year or this financial year will show up next year. So that $2.1 million that we're expected to go up next year in costs will go up in addition to the loss they have this year. Does that make sense to everyone? So the baseline $2 million that we're going up, plus the loss that they weren't expecting to have this year. So I don't know, $3 million, 2.5, could be 4. Who knows what they end up doing? So we'll see. Let's see. Any other budget questions? Commission, anyone else any budget questions? Anyone remember anything about the budget that they had? Questions about fire, police? Let's see here. I don't think I see anything in the comments. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, upcoming council items. So tomorrow night we have our commission seats, and we are going to be interviewing commissioners. You can still turn in your application. We probably won't be just interviewing. We won't be interviewing you tomorrow, but you can always turn in your application for any of the positions. I believe we got 55 applications from people. I got a big fat binder right here. This is it right here. If you guys see this big binder right here, this thing is lots of people in here. I got to go through lots of people. A lot of people have been reaching out to me so far. Got to get back to a bunch of people, probably about 5 or 6 people, 10 people actually. Lots of opening positions. We'll see what it is. I want to tertiary check. A lot of people from District 1 have applied. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome. District 1, District 2 are very active. You guys have done a great job by doing get your name in there. So that's always good to see. Let's see. What else do we have? We have our council chambers that are going to be updated in August. So we're officially out of the council chambers in August, and we're officially into the large library meeting room. What does that mean? That means the council chambers is going to be completely torn apart and rebuilt from the ground up. New chairs, new concrete to make it all perfectly more level, more ADA compliant. Actually, ADA compliant, I should say modern day ADA compliance. We're gonna have new cameras, new TV screens. There's gonna be a new dais up there on top. There's gonna be ADA accessibility going up to the dais. It's not ADA accessible right now. larger doors in the front and ways to get in. It's going to be a huge upgrade. It's going to be essentially a $1 million upgrade to the council chambers. New cameras, new IT. It's an old system that's in there now. The main library has a system that was updated just recently, last few months in preparation for this. The last time the main library was upgraded was back in the 1990s. So this is a big deal for us. And when we do eventually meet back in person, that's where we are going to be meeting, is in the main library room, the large main library room, paid for through what's called PEG fees. Those are fees that come out of the Spectrum. If you guys have cable TV, you pay an extra $1 or $2. I'm not sure what it is. There's an extra fee on top of that. And that's being collected by the cable company, in our case it's Spectrum, and then that gets handed off to us. And we can only use it as one-time use upgrades to audio, TV, things like this that we're doing specifically in the council chambers. It's taken many years to collect the $700,000 on upgrades. Cameras in the library don't work. I did not know that. I'll ask that. I thought they did work. I thought IT said that they did work and they tested it. They also have to get it going with Zoom as well, as we're doing all our Zoom meetings right now. COVID shutdown, Karen, I will get to that comment regarding COVID shutdown procedure and protocols in the village when I talk about outdoor dining down there in the village. I'll write that down for you right now. Let's see, what else? Upcoming things. What else do we have upcoming for the council? Let's see. July is usually a quiet month. We do a commission interviews, and we give our recommendations to the mayor in August. He comes out with those recommendations in September. Not much happens in August either. And then September, when everyone gets back to their vacations, we usually really get back going again. I think we're going to see a real yo-yo of action items happening because of the whole COVID problem. And if anyone has any questions about or have any doubts about city staff, let me tell you, it's COVID and supporting the resources to change city procedures and doing business in the city has changed dramatically. I mean, absolutely dramatically. So yeah. Let's see. What else? Let's see. Bike update, stimulus, business. I'll throw this in here as part of the budget upcoming items. Let's see. There was an article in Easy Reader and I believe Daily Rees recently about stimulus checks for businesses. A lot of businesses in South Redondo got millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars. There's a big long list in the Easy Reader. There's Easy Reader, and I believe it's Beach Report, Daily Breeze, and somebody else. There's a website. Somebody wants to throw the website into the comments there, so you can look at it. I'm not sure what website it is, but you can look up all the businesses that have applied for and got. They give you a range. They don't give you exact numbers, but they give you a range of numbers. So it's like $325,000 to $500,000, and like a million, like $2.5 million to $5 million. Things those types of nature. So you can see it's very interesting to see what businesses got, what money and how much they got. Let's see. ProPublica. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. So any other questions on upcoming council items? Any questions in the comments? Email, I don't think I got emails. Let me check my emails here real quick. No new emails on there. Let's see. All right, so next item, Riviera Village updates. So let's talk about everything in Riviera Village. A lot going on in the village. So I'm sure you guys have seen, if you've gone through, or any of the many news articles that have come out, but we have totally transformed the Riviera Village into garden patios, a patio dining, garden patio concept that is beautifully done. A huge credit to Alan Sanford over at Rockefeller and Beach Life Festival. Just so you guys all know how this all worked out, I made a motion back in June, beginning of June, to direct the staff to start reaching out, working directly with the Riviera bid to start getting these either street shut down or outside dining. It was essentially getting outside dining working in the Riviera Village. I was in Sacramento a few weeks ago. I was in the Bay Area a few weeks ago. Actually, a week ago, I should say. I was in both areas, and many other cities. And they started this process in April of doing street shutdowns and sidewalk dining. And Manhattan Beach started, I think, after us, and they started building theirs before us. But we have done something different. They had the smaller ones. We did a very large, multiple large ones right in front of Riviera House and Creme de la Crêpe and Local 90, as well as Rockefeller, right next door to Rockefeller. You guys know Maddie Crawdaddy's right in front of them as well. That was phase one. We got approval on Tuesday at 6 o'clock at night. By Wednesday morning at 7 a.m., the water-filled barricades were already out being filled. And by Friday afternoon, the first set right in front of Rockefeller was done. There's some fake grass, fake turf that was put up. The water-filled barriers had some wonderful wood, and that was painted on the outside. And then all the other locations was done as well. That was the first phase. The second phase is what you're seeing going up right now in front of, what is that? Gabby James and Redondo Bruco. They're sharing one over there, and it's kind of off center, off kilter, more towards Gabby James. The reason for that is, if you notice, there is on the sides where there's a square, you see Local 90 has put their truck, and you see some water barriers going at an angle. That is because in case somebody decides to drive into those water barriers, there is a pre-barrier for them to hit first before they hit the corner and the actual barrier itself. So an extra added safety device there. So I'm saying that because if you notice Gabby James, it's done right behind that odd looking tree that's in the middle of a parking spot that we're converting to bike parking. That's second phase, what they're doing right now. Part of second phase will be over on the opposite side of the street by Yellow Vase, Casa Playa. All the restaurant owners have been asked about actually both retailers and restaurateurs all been asked if they want to have this happen. The third phase will be going up to Little Sisters on Avenida del Norte. That's, if you guys know, is where Riviera Village Runner just moved into, or Trader Joe's, Yogurtland, that street. So that's going to be, it's in 3 phases that they're doing it. And it's being paid for right now by the Riviera Village Business Association, the bid, Riviera bid. And all the businesses in the bid, whether you're a dentist, you're a restaurateur, you're a retailer, you're an accountant, you just have a P.O. box in the village. If you have a business license in the village, in an area, you're paying $100 a year, plus employees and a couple other items, and you're paying into this fund. And also the Riviera Summerfest. If you guys know the Riviera Summerfest that happens in June, normally speaking, a large chunk of that change, the profits of that goes directly to the bid. And they take that money and they divvy up, they do many different things with it. Well, they have extra money in the pot this year, and they are paying outright for all of these improvements. So it's fair and equitable to all the businesses. Everyone can take advantage of it. And the people that are taking advantage of it will be paying the bid back per month. So the bid is fronting the money, and the businesses will be paying the bid back over the course of the next few months. It's a great news item because businesses like Creme de la Crêpe would have closed their doors this year because they don't have enough dining space to do just on the little patio with the 3 or 4 tables that they have there. This gives a new lease, a new life on those businesses. And a lot of these businesses were absolutely struggling, were going to close their doors. So it's really, really big for them. If you guys have noticed, this last weekend, it was absolutely packed, probably more so comfortable than most people were wanting it to be. Again, wear your mask, stay 10 feet away from people, just be safe, be clean. And I just want to let everyone know this is a temporary program. It's scheduled to end right now in September. I'm going to look to get it extended until the end of the year to help that payoff where they really need that payoff. I expect this COVID problem to be around easily into the fall. So this is a temporary program. It will be removed at the end of the year. Again, the Coastal Commission is the one that determines the parking. And since we're taking all the parking, we have to replace the parking. But since it's temporary right now under these COVID orders, we can get away with this, what we're doing right now. Hermosa Beach is doing the same. Manhattan Beach is doing the same. San Pedro, Santa Monica, they're all doing the same right now. San Pedro, LA City came in and put up these huge K-rail barriers, concrete barriers, and the city's paying for that. So, and I'm not sure what's happening in Hermosa Beach, who's paying for that. In Manhattan Beach, individual businesses were paying for that as well. Really, really special, really, really amazing. The Coastal Commission controls all of this. We are getting some more, another permit to take away more parking to get some more of these garden patios set up in the village. Right now it's about funding. The Riviera bid has essentially completely run out of money with doing these three phases. So if they can get more money, we've talked about various ways to raise some revenue for them. Again, their businesses are going to be paying back the money to the bid. So, hopefully, I mean, they're taking that huge risk that it's going to happen. Otherwise, quite frankly, it would have been a loss of restaurants, businesses closing, and no parking revenue. So really stoked to have it happen. Calaveras has their dining on the side of their driveway. They have a little driveway between them and the cleaners. They're really cool. They did this whole setup there. Speaking of businesses and being tough on businesses this particular time, Riviera Mex Grill, they have an outdoor patio as well. Somebody noted the other day to me that, oh, they raised their prices. Well, a lot of businesses have raised prices. A lot of businesses are putting an extra fee on top of your dining experience. So for instance, there's a business that I know they are charging 9.5% on top of your total bill. And they're calling it Redondo fee. That is not a city fee. That is a business fee. So Riviera Mexican Grill, I think they went up by a few dollars in prices. I want to say. Somebody asked me that. I wasn't sure I hadn't been there yet. But oh, by the way, they have not changed their salsa menu. There's some rumors going around their salsa has changed. The salsa recipe has not changed. They changed new owners. If you guys know the owner of, actually one of the owners of the Rockefeller and Captain Kids, they now own the Mexican Rib. So some things are happening down there. So going back to that extra fee, 9.5% fee, some restaurants are charging that on top of their on top of their normal prices. So be aware of that. It is not a City Redondo fee. It is not a tax. It is not a license. It is not extra charge that we're putting on that. That's the business themselves. Let's see. I believe that the orders that I got today, just so we're all clear, a lot of questions on this on COVID. Governor Newsom has shut down all indoor dining, all bars in the state of California. All bars, all indoor drinking, all bars, all wineries, all movie theaters, all gyms, anything indoor has been shut down, as far as I understand the way it has been written. Could be wrong, so let me know if it's different. He is allowing outdoor dining. So this has come at a real important time for us to start moving all this stuff forward, outdoor dining, creating these outdoor dining environments. So that's from what I understand. COVID updates, there was a couple questions here regarding enforcement of COVID, regarding enforcement of restaurants being monitored for proper spacing of tables, of personnel, of diners, of if the employees get tested, if they come up positive. That's all in the realm of public health department. The public health department controls that. They come out, they check all the time for all this stuff. All the distancing, all of the rules and things that we have in place. No indoor dining, for instance, they'll be checking that to make sure it's true outdoor dining. So that's as far as I can tell who's enforcing that. The city can do code enforcement on certain if we have that in our city orders. I don't know if we have that in our city orders regarding closing indoor dining. I think that's a state and a county order. So those supersede us. And I want to make sure everyone understands correctly that some of these orders that are coming through are coming from the state which we must follow. Some of them are from the county, which we must follow. And very few of them are actually at a local level that we are putting into order. Putting in place, I should say. So let's see, what else do I have written down? Regarding COVID, let's see, Bill, on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning, Mayor Brand is having a meeting with the LA County. Let me find it for you right now. LA County Department of where is it? Emergency Health Offices, I want to say. She's the medical director for emergency health. She has a lot of stats on emergency rooms, ventilators, the amount of people that are in the ICU, in the people that are in the ICU regarding COVID, and people that are in the ICU just for other issues. So she's going to be having a meeting with Mayor Brand on Wednesday morning, I believe it is. Let's see here. I don't think for some reason I can't find it. Oh yeah, there it is right there. So yeah, Department of Health Services, which is a different department, medical director, let's see, 10 a.m. on Monday. So Mayor Brand will have an announcement on that. He'll be putting it out there. It'll be really informative. I looked at their agenda and stuff they have. It'll be really, really cool. Who can access the public health inspection results? I believe you can go to their Department of Public Health website, and you can type in, there's a search there for typing in closed orders and restaurant closings. I believe you can search that to find out who that was. I believe also there's a separate list for restaurants that were closed due to COVID issues. I saw that about a week or two ago. I saw that on there. So that's the Department of Public Health for LA County. So just look up LA County Department of Public Health, DPH, and they have the lists there. A lot of questions come down to me regarding why are we affected in Redondo Beach when we have so few cases? Well, like I said a minute ago, we don't control what the state and what the county does. The county controls our beaches. When they shut down the beaches, it's shut down for everyone. So that's the way the cookie crumbles. The business licenses for the restaurateurs, they're licensed with the Department of Public Health, rests with the county, not with the city. This is a state and a county issue as well. More importantly for them, there's some counties in California that have barely even closed and have been opened back up again in Northern California as if nothing has gone awry because they had so few cases. So I get a lot of questions on that regarding why does it affect us here in Redondo? Well, they don't deal with on a per city basis. They deal with the whole state and county as a whole. Let's see. Holly, you have your hand up. You have a question, comment, concern? Unmute yourself.
Oh, okay. I just wondered, is the Kensington in your district? And I was wondering how that was doing regarding cases and how full it was and stuff.
So yes, Kensington is in my district, District 1. It's on because for those of you that don't know, on the corner of PCH Nob Hill, there's a large retirement, not retirement, it's a memory care facility. So anyone who is older and has dementia or memory care issues, or just memory care issues to begin with, can get a room there. I have not heard of any updates to that in terms of their situation. I believe last time I checked back in June, end of May, early June, they did not have any existing cases, I believe, in June. They have taken full precautions. They got hit hard in March. They had a few deaths also in that facility. They had staff that get infected. I believe there are around 40 people that were infected in total between staff and people that lived there. I talked to some of the people that actually had it, or actually the family members that had it, and they were quite happy with the way they dealt with it afterwards. And when you were there, you had to have full containment. So I'm not sure of any updates since then. I should probably check in or write that down with Kensington. Any other questions on the let's see, on the kind of Riviera Village? I believe there was a question regarding let's see here, outdoor dining on other streets. So you guys know, if you remember back in June, I had a PDF document that I showed regarding actually shutting down Catalina completely and putting out tables, 108 tables to be exact. That changed to the system that we have set up now that we have. You know, I think one of the reasons why it is so popular that we have the garden patios is because we did not shut down the street. Like I said earlier, the 3 phases, third phase will be for the other for Little Sisters and other surrounding off of Catalina. But that's what we have planned for that. So if anyone has any other questions regarding the other streets, let me know. But I think it covers those questions. Let's see. Oh, I'm also working on, if you guys notice, on the corners of the water-filled barricades, the corners are empty. I'm working on getting some bike lockups, so that if you notice, if you guys walk through there, I walked through there yesterday for a minute. There's a lot of bikes showing up down in the village, which is awesome, right? We want to have people biking down and not taking parking. There's a shortage of bicycle lockup stations down in the village right now. So I'm working on getting a lot of bicycle lockups so that people can securely lock their bikes to something in those little triangle areas of the water barriers, as well as some other places. So I think that'll be a big. Fernando's in the Riviera Village gave me that idea. He texted me the other day about that. So big props to him for coming up with that idea, like getting those bike lockups there. So working on that. Like I said, I want to give big props to Riviera Village Business Improvement District, Jeff Ginsburg, who's the president of that whole group, that whole board that comes together every month, that meets once a month. You know, they said, yeah, let's burn all of our money and make this happen. And then Alan Stanford, you know, I can't forget Mike Ward from Village Runner. If you guys know Village Runner, they just moved from the corner of Catalina and Avenue I to over by Little Sisters over there. Mike Ward was the one that first started this whole process back in May with the paperwork, with the Catalina shutdown, with the traffic control, with the water barriers, everything that needed to happen. And then when he moved his store, he wasn't able to start doing everything that he was doing, volunteering his time for. And Alan Stanford stepped up and really took this to the next level. And huge props to Alan Stanford. He's now moving this idea forward to other cities like Hermosa and Manhattan. He's a part owner there of Rockefeller and of course the Beach Life Festival. So big props to him. You know, we're lucky to have business owners that volunteer their time, you know, who get nothing for this other than helping out the community and their own business and other businesses down in the village. They don't get paid for any of it. So it's a lot of work. Alan has a lot of contacts in this world. He got some sponsorships to also help pay for some of the stuff. but I think it's a huge win for us all. Let's see. Let me go over my notes here. Upcoming council items. Next, not this week, but next week, I believe, we're gonna have a budget. We're gonna have an item, upcoming budget council item on leaf blowers. This is always a fun subject. Oh boy. So if you guys know the long saga of the ban of the leaf blower, right? So we're literally sending around in the times of COVID right now. We're literally sending around enforcement officers, code enforcement, to give people tickets for leaf blowers. Well, leaf blower ordinance has cost the city a phenomenal amount of money because it takes extra time to do things. Our contractors charge us more money because they can't use a leaf blower. They have to use rakes. They have to use brooms. Staff takes more time to do things. So John Grant, as part of the budget, wanted to exempt the city of Redondo Beach out of the ordinance until the COVID crisis or this financial year. And then it eventually passed with Laura MD making an adjustment to that, saying that any parcel 6 acres or larger is also exempt from this ordinance. I have said no to this. Councilman Lowenstein from District 2 has also said no to this. I went on record, I'll go on record again. This is the zenith of hypocrisy when it comes to government passing laws, having it burdensome on the public, having it burdensome on itself, and then turning around and saying, it's too burdensome for ourselves. So we're going to exempt ourselves and we're going to force you, the small guy, to continue following that law. I don't at all in any way, shape, or form can support that. In this time where we have like complete lack of jobs and we need help and we're not helping out small businesses for this, I think it's I think it's bad. I think it's just a really bad call on our part, exempting ourselves. It's also going to exempt the school district as well, I believe. At least the kids won't be in school. One of the reasons why we passed this was for the kids in the school, so at least they won't be in school. So time to end or modify a leaf blower ban. I agree with you 100%. We need to end that leaf blower ban or modify it. Use electric leaf blowers. So this is what I've been saying the entire time. Electric leaf blowers, that's the answer, because the point here is to get electric products being used in the marketplace. When you force that to be used, you get the battery technologies, you get the money being used or spent on those technologies, and people companies can develop those products further. So I think that's the answer. Unfortunately, we now went down a giant waste of time, money, and energy, something that the city does not have the time, money, energy, or resources to enforce. And again, the vast majority of people who use leaf blowers, gardeners, are not exactly corporate entities with massive paychecks. And the people that we're subsidizing right now with this current motion as passed are massive corporate entities with huge paychecks. So I just cannot at all. One of the reasons why we passed the leaf blower ban in the first place was for health reasons, for airborne particulates. So now during an airborne particulate issue, we're allowing the use of leaf blowers again. So I'll get off my high horse on that. Schools are exempted themselves. Yeah, that's true. Waste of money, yes. COVID inspections. Does someone have COVID inspections for the public health department? I can try to find that for you right now. Public health department, COVID restaurant, STAU. I believe they're testing again too, just so everyone knows. Testing was shut down for 2 or 3 days over the weekend for three reasons. One is they ran out of tests. 2 is the 4th of July weekend. And 3 is they were completely booked up. So they're trying to open up more testing right now. And right now, I believe everything is booked up. Just so you know, if you want COVID testing, you can go to Exer Emergency Care on PCH in Nob Hill and get tested there, as well as I believe the CVS Pharmacy as well on Ruby and PCH. So if you want, or excuse me, that's a Walgreens, I believe. So if you need testing, go ahead and and go to those places. I'm not sure what the cost is, whether it covers insurance or whether it's free. I think it's free. but don't quote me on that. I don't know. I don't know what it is. So yeah. Let's see. Any other questions regarding upcoming for Riviera Village, farmers market, outdoor dining, stimulus checks? Anyone any questions? Everyone's very quiet. Wayne, you got your question? Go ahead and unmute yourself. And
Yeah, about the COVID testing, the question I had was if a restaurant tests positive, when do they have to report it? Because I know one restaurant had one case that they eventually confirmed, but all they did was put a little note on the door saying, we may have had a positive thing, but we're closing down and cleaning, but nothing ever further until I saw a bunch of stuff posted about it. And then eventually the manager of another restaurant, a part of that same company, said, oh yeah, one person tested, but nothing else further. And then I heard, I don't know if you said it earlier, but I was reading online some post, has anyone talked to Jeff? Is he fully symptomatic? Is he doing okay? I'm just worried about him because, we're in the same age group, and I'm hoping that if he has COVID, obviously he's okay. I mean, that's my main concern in that.
so I don't know what Jeff you're talking about, but I will just say I talked to someone who had COVID that we all know yesterday, and he's doing really well, back from the hospital. He still had a fever, I believe, yesterday morning, but he was feeling much better yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening. He's glad to be back. I believe he spent a few days in the hospital. I'm not sure. I believe it was. I don't want to talk about it too much other than the fact that he's doing much better. He'll be out of this 14-day period in a couple of days. I know someone else here locally that has been in our community. There's only a few blocks away from me, actually, that also has tested positive. And they went through the 14-day quarantine period, just finished up, I believe, like this last week. I want to say this last weekend. And their symptoms was the first guy I was talking about, he had a huge, you call it when your head is really hot, high temperature, 101 degrees. He just felt a little sick. But other than that, that's really, felt lethargic, bad in the afternoon, slept a lot. Another person that had a few blocks away from where I live here, barely had any symptoms, actually. Felt bad. They felt weird and odd, but didn't have any major issues, like they didn't have to go into the hospital or ICU or anything like that. So it affects everyone differently. Younger person too, the second person.
Yeah. Well, question I have on this too, is the county then responsible after this comes out or to do contact tracing, or is this voluntary?
So that's the first part of your question. So contact tracing, I'm not sure. I have to contact the public health department on that because I'm really concerned, because now that I've known a lot of people who've been down in the village. Actually, I know 2 or 3 people that have been down in the village in the last 2 weeks that have now gotten COVID. I think when it comes to contact tracing, I read something about them not having enough people to find out. Hey, mute someone real quick. So I'm not sure. They're probably overwhelmed. I will find out. I'll let you know. I'll let some other people know if you want to ask me. I'm not sure what the protocols are for a restaurant if they get shut down because their employee or an employee or multiple employees get hit with COVID. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I read something somewhere that if that restaurants, if they have less than 3 people that test positive, they don't report it publicly. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems kind of, I mean, if I was a restaurateur, I think that if someone did test positive, I think it's a good public service to say, hey, you know what, one of our folks is sick. They've tested positively. We're doing some precautionary measures. We're cleaning our place up. Everything's going to be good. If we test all our employees, we're good to go. I think that's just a good, sound business decision. I think it would be a smart thing to do. I just hope that other businesses in the Riviera Village would do that if that comes to be.
Yeah. So I think I'm not sure if it's up to the individual business or whether it's a public health protocol. It'd be great if somebody, if you contract COVID, come up positive, just let everyone know. It's contact tracing is hard. When again, going back to the testing, only 60% accuracy, which meaning you have 40% non-accuracy. If you come up positive, you're guaranteed to be positive, but if you come up negative, there's still a 40% chance that it could be wrong. So it does take 2 to 3 days. So you do the test. And if you do the test, so you guys know this, do the nasal test where they put a swab up your nose because the virus sits in your nasal area the most. Don't use the coughing one or the cheek swab. The nasal one is the best. It takes 2 or 3 days to come back and get the result. So, by that time, if you think you have symptoms or you think you're gonna be positive, keep that in mind. Be quiet for 2 or 3 days, stay at home. I think, Ellen, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something, Ellen?
You didn't mention that they're also doing the COVID testing at Beach Cities.
Oh, that's true.
And that one
Right.
has been running really well, and it's lots of favorable feedback from people I know that have gone there. And I work out with a bunch of people who volunteer for that, and they're very happy with how it's going. So, but I mean,
You're
that
right.
COVID's everywhere. We've had a couple on this block. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, I completely forgot about Beach Cities Health District,
Yeah.
BCHD. They are at their own facility on Prospect, I believe, right? And they were doing, I think, 500 a day. I saw an email from Tom Backley come through. You're right. Very positive. It happens very quickly, very simple. So Beach Cities Health District is also doing testing. That's awesome that they're doing it. So there's multiple locations here in Redondo. I'm sure you have to get a appointment to.
They recommend an appointment. They do get cancellations though. So if someone really was seriously thought they had COVID, they could call there and find out if there's been a cancellation and possibly get in. And I think it's free.
Okay. Somebody wrote that Medicare covers testing covered by Medicare only overnight in ER. Somebody texted me, but I'm not sure about the cost if you go to extra emergency care afterwards.
I also asked if you needed a doctor's approval or a prescription or something at Beach Cities, and they said no, you did not.
Do you have to just have signs and symptoms?
Yes, I mean, or
Okay.
maybe you're going to Hawaii and you need to test negative before you can get on the island. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I believe in Hawaii. If you go to Hawaii right now, they quarantine you for 2 weeks.
No, they've changed it. Now they test you at the airport, but you have to arrive with a note or proof that you are negative. They don't
Oh,
test you there, but
okay. There you go. So let's
so
pack
you
up
can
and go to
go, but
Hawaii.
you better not catch it on the plane.
Oh, yeah. I know some people that have been on a plane recently, and they were wearing their N95 masks and taking all the precautions. Yeah, it's listen, you guys. Again, it's all around us right now, more so than ever before. These, you can say what you want, but these protesters and mass gatherings of all types, whatever you want to call them, I think has done a huge disservice on the environmental health side for this. Unfortunately, we're living now with it. Hopefully, now with this heat and the dry weather or the more humid weather that we get from the hurricanes, maybe it will help. Dry weather, I believe, is good for the virus. I think I read somewhere. So AC environments. That's why Florida is being hit so hard, because everyone's sitting inside in AC environments, and it's just going around like crazy. So Arizona as well. Let's see. I think if that's all the questions I have, Ellen, you can put your hand down. You're done. Let's see. I don't have any other questions. Brianna?
Brianna has a quick question. She noted something about she wanted to do a non-COVID related post.
Yeah, Brianna Egan, if you are there and available, I see your picture. You are unmuted.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Yeah, so I just wanted to share, I'm a resident of your district, and I'm also a current graduate student in public health, and been living back with my parents during online classes, but I recently got involved in a project that I think brings a lot of hope to our neighborhood. There's a really beautiful kind of garden demonstration that's on the corner of South Francisca and South Guadalupe Avenues. And it's not my personal garden project, but I've kind of formed like a team with the two folks that garden there. And we wanted to kind of explore the idea about perhaps using kind of this interest in that garden space to advocate for an official community garden in Redondo Beach. I know that a lot of our neighboring cities all have community gardens, but that's something that we're lacking. And I think it would actually be something that really builds community and resilience, especially in light of a lot of the strain on the system that we see with COVID. So if folks are interested, I could go ahead and leave our website link, and we have a newsletter to sign up. Yeah, and I appreciate those of you who are like active in the city politics and who can kind of join us to see what we can do to like work with the city to see if we can actually make a community garden a reality.
So go ahead. I got some things to say about that. What is, first of all, before we go any further, before I forget, what is your link for your website?
So I will type it in the chat.
Perfect.
It's, yeah, Garden of Guadalupe. Oh. Okay.
Is this the one on Pearl at the 5 corners there, the 4 corners?
It is, yeah. There's quite a few streets that intersect.
Yeah, is that, let's see here, Pearl.
Yeah, it's Pearl and like Francisca.
Yeah, South Francisco, Pearl, South Guadalupe. Yep, I know exactly where you are there.
Right.
Is that in the Parkway, the garden that's happening?
It actually is. Yeah.
Okay. Yep, I know exactly the one you're talking about. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you've seen that. And
I have. I think it's really, really cool.
Do you have any words of advice as far as like if you think this could be something we could bring to city council to as far as official community garden?
So that's 2 questions. Official community garden is 1 question. The second question, or actually the first question I should say, is actually word of advice for the garden along in the Parkway. My advice for you on that is continue on. Do not involve the city. Do not get involved in the politics of the city. Do not make it public. Just start doing it, making it happen. Plant plants that do not have thorns or sharp edges, like roses or cacti, things like that. Do not plant. Only plant plants that don't obstruct views on corners, that don't grow into the sidewalk area, don't take over the street. So don't impede the public right of way. And I think you will be successful. There's no reason to go to the city staff or to the community, the city council. You will only make your life more difficult. Don't go down that path. That's my word of advice for you on that. When it comes to a community garden, I am a huge believer in a community garden. My brother has a garden at his community garden up in the Bay Area. There is an empty lot on the corner of Torrance and let's see, what is that? Hold on, let me think for a second. Torrance Boulevard and South Lucia. That's what it is, South Lucia. There's an empty lot, the city-owned lot actually. It's been fought about for many, many years. What do we do with that extra lot? I think community gardening should go there. We should be able to figure out a way to go there. And my word of advice for you on that is contact the South Bay Parklands Conservancy, SBPC. I think it's sbbc.org, I want to say. They do plantings for the Wilderness Park. They got a grant or they got some money from the city of Redondo to do some plantings there. They're all about doing community gardens. They've been pushing this forward, getting more trees grown. In fact, I gotta get back to an email on that. Hook up with them. They're Redondo based. They deal with a lot of things in Redondo, but they do some deal with things outside of Redondo. They would love to see some community gardens. If you want my opinion on where we can put a community garden, that would be under the power line corridor by the US Bank area, where that wonderful view is at. You have to deal with Southern California Edison. and maybe some other entities, but maybe over there, you'll be able to do something as a community garden. I think they're absolutely fantastic and cool. Whenever you see a community garden, however, driven by the amount of fruits and vegetables that are being grown is absolutely astounding. My brother gets a huge cornucopia of plants. It's just amazing, actually. So yeah, big fan of that. So if you can, if you want to do that, so I said gardenofguadalupe.carrd.co. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna type that.
Thank
in.
you for those words. Yeah, I did reach out to the Parkland Conservancy using the email on their website, and I'm waiting to hear back. So
Okay.
that sounds like a good group to work with.
Here, let me give you my phone number right now. And text me or text me, and I will put you in contact with some of their members. My cell phone that you can text me at is 424-374-7168. You just go ahead and text me, and then I'll put you in a chat. There, you got it right there. Perfect.
Great, appreciate
Got
it.
it.
Thank you.
Perfect. And then we'll communicate from there, and I'll get you in contact with them. All right, I see a hand up for the Rainers.
Hi, I'd like to make an announcement regarding the census.
Oh, the census. Okay. Yes, that's a very important issue, actually.
Yeah. So my name is Jack Rayner, and I'm in District 1, and I'm a youth ambassador for the census. And I'm reminding you all to register for the census online. It's at my2020census.gov, and it makes sure that the community gets the proper federal funding and also proper representation in the House of Representatives. So it's my2020census.gov.
That's awesome. Let me ask you this. You answered one of the questions, why it's important. Because representation for the House of Representatives, right? Also services, monies, federal monies that we get back, everything's done off population. So if our population goes down, we get less money. If people aren't counted, remember, homeless people are part of the population counts as well, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think it was, do you know the percentage of Redondo respondents, so household respondents? Do you know that percentage?
Ooh, I do not.
I believe when I last heard it a few weeks ago was 48%.
Ooh.
Wow.
So, and that's actually one of the highest ones. Let me see if I can find it in my email. Let's see, census, CNSCS. Michael, let's see. So what happens, let me ask you this, what happens next? So the people that have not responded, do you know what happens next, actually?
They'll get a letter in the mail saying that you have not responded. And then a few months later, then there'll be an actual person coming to you to ask.
Yep, exactly. Nail on the head. So the next step is they will send you a piece of mail, and then they will call you, and then they will hound you via electronic messaging, smoke signals, and then after that, they will come knocking on your door or pounding on your door, however you want it. And they will come and visit you multiple times as well. So, you know, by law, all you have to, there are some people that don't want to respond, and you know, by law, you have to respond. All you have to say, I believe, is how many people are in a household, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then they do ask a bunch of other questions in there, and I don't believe you have to respond to those questions. But they definitely, the most important thing is respond how many people are living in your household, that you're counted. Everyone's counted, right?
Yeah.
Our contact is, just so you know, is Linda Marshall Smith. She is our program coordinator for our area here in Redondo Beach. She's based out of Long Beach, I believe. She came to our community meeting about 7 months ago, I want to say, beginning of the year. And this, yeah, beginning of the year, maybe it was January, February, right in there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's see, Joan Irvine, you want to make a comment regarding the Esplanade. are you ready? Are you ready to go? You still there?
I am still here and I am ready.
Perfect.
First of all, as we all know, the Esplanade is an absolutely wonderful, beautiful resource that we are so fortunate to be by. The one issue, as many of you know, Keep the Esplanade Beautiful, we've been doing First Saturday Sweeps for about the last 8 years, where we go and we pick up trash because of limitations because of the virus. We have not been doing formal pickups. However, I must say it is horrible and disgusting and gross to see the amount of trash that is being left on our Esplanade. I just went out, I think it was Friday night or Saturday night. I was walking home from the village and people had dumped their whole meal and their cups and their all that. It was horrific. So what I want to ask people to do, and a lot of people are already doing this, but I really want to put a call out and a request out that if you're walking on the Esplanade, bring a glove with you, pick up trash, and just either bring it home if there's no room in our trash cans, or put it in the trash cans. But it's really up to all the people who enjoy the Esplanade to be doing this right now. And it's so important for all of us to be able to, when we take that walk on the Esplanade, to be able to have it be beautiful for us and for the other people who attend.
Thank you, Joan. I appreciate that. It's huge. I don't know if Public Works get down there as much as they can now because of the whole COVID issue. The other issue that people need to be aware of that the city is doing a lot more of right now, which is extra spend on resources, taxing of our resources, as well as Athens Trash Services, are because restaurants are essentially doing no indoor dining. And now they're actually doing absolutely no indoor dining. They're doing outdoor dining. But most of their sales actually comes from takeaway foods.
Right.
So trash cans and people eating on park benches, trash cans in particular are filling up very quickly. And so instead of now being emptied once or twice a week, they're now being emptied 3 or 4 times a week. So while before it takes 1 or 2 hours to go around because you might not need to empty one trash can or have trash cans are only half full, now all the trash cans are full. It's taking a lot more resources, a lot more time. This is one of the things that COVID has affected. And of course, picking up the trash like you're doing, Joan. Thank you very much for doing that. It's awesome that you're doing that. Really appreciate it. It makes all of our lives better. And like you're absolutely right. The Esplanade, if you guys notice, is absolutely packed in the evenings. And it's absolutely amazing to see many people down there because, of course, it's the best beach here in the South Bay, the best view. So,
And can I say also that Public Works and Athens have been absolutely amazing. I contacted Public Works, somebody else contacted Athens on Saturday night and said, the trash cans are totally full. Unless they're cleaned out tomorrow, there's no place for trash to be. And I'll tell you, I don't know who did it, but by Sunday morning, the trash cans were cleaned out. So I just want to give a big kudos to both Athens and Public Works for what they're doing. And it's very important that if you see that the trash cans are overflowing, contact them. They are being responsive.
They are. You're absolutely right. There were some trash cans in the village contacted me on, and then within a few hours they were emptied out. You're right, and that's a huge kudos to Public Works. Unfortunately, we just cut a bunch of positions in Public Works.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that I've harped on. We're taking their tools, we're taking their staff away, and have the same level of expectation. So thank you, Joan, for filling in that gap. That's huge.
Well, believe it or not, I am only a minor part of this now. There are just so many people, so many good citizens who are out there who are doing this on a daily basis. I mean, I am just amazed when I see what this is happening or hearing about it. So, we just happen to have done, community outreach on it, but everybody is doing it. We have great citizens here who are really concerned about our environment in the Esplanade. So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you guys very much for those who've been helping out. And Joan, I know you're one of the stalwarts that started that organization and continue on. So thank you for making that happen. That's huge.
Thank you.
And in the notes here, there's a link on public health to the restaurants So it's publichealth.lacounty.gov/media/coronavirus/locations.htm. So that's in the notes here, and just I verbalize it all. People that are on YouTube and Facebook can watch it and put those links in as well. So any other questions? Let's
Nils,
see.
I think Ellen has her hand up.
Oh, thank you. Ellen, you have your hand up again, or is that left over? I'm assuming it's left over. Ellen, I think that's left over.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to take it down.
There you go. That's what I thought. Okay, I just want to
Okay.
make sure before we close up here. Sorry, everyone, I don't have coffee and donuts for you, and some other pastries and bites. Next time, maybe. I don't know. So just so you guys know, I was planning on doing, from now on moving forward, having one online meeting during the week, and then have our normal Saturday community meeting, change it from 9 a.m. to 9:30. 9 o'clock. Well, I got a lot of feedback from people regarding the 9 o'clock morning meetings. It's a little bit early for a Saturday, but we want to have it early to get your day going. But so I think I'm going to change in the future from 9:30 to 11:30. That way people get an extra few minutes to get there, and get some things done in the morning, or get up, sleep in for an extra half hour. So when we do start again, hopefully in August, if things calm down a little bit, we will see. Of course, I will be providing hand sanitizer and cleaners. We can only do probably 20 or so, 25 people in that room, everyone at their own separate table. So we will see what we can do. I'll have to talk to staff about how they have it set up. I don't believe that room's being used for anything else right now. There's no other gatherings. If anyone wants to clarify what the current public health links orders are for, I think it might, is it 10 to 12 people right now for public gatherings? Is that what it is? I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. So since we get on average 25, 30 people, it would be an issue. So other than that, if there's no other questions, anyone want to raise anything? Pat, you've been sitting there the entire time watching away. You have any questions? No? All right. Jonathan, I love your background, Jonathan. You got a cozy little nook over there. Rainers, thank you very much for being part of it. Thanks for saying what you guys did regarding the census. Gentile, thank you. I'm only pointing out some people that have their videos on. If anyone doesn't have anyone else, put your hand up, throw it in the comments. One last time. Oh, Gil, can you have the meeting in the park or baseball or bleachers? Oh, that's a good idea, Gil. Have the meeting in the park or baseball or bleachers. That's an excellent idea. Everyone bring your own lawn chair. How's that sound? We'll make it a park. Everyone on a lawn chair. That's a great idea, Gil. Speaking of parks, I got to talk to Redondo Sunset League. And then Redondo Sunset League, I want to take over. So one of the things we cut out in our budget was the movie nights and at Alta Vista. I've actually never gone to Alta Vista movie nights, but I heard they're popular, heard tons of fun. We've cut that out as a city, and I want to get the Redondo Sunset League doing that so that they can raise money for the things that they do in the park. And so on that same idea, then maybe we will have the meeting in the park, bring your own lawn chair, have a drink with your coffee, and I will bring my own megaphone. People, I teach junior guards, and I used to always bring a megaphone down with me, and people hated it because I love my megaphone. It works really well. Yeah, good fun. People hated it. It was great. Let's see. That's a great idea. Great idea with the park. So, yeah, maybe we'll do that next month. I like that idea. It's outside, not indoors. I really like that. I'll have to go look at the Alta Vista Park and see if we can rope off some area to make that happen. So other than that, if I don't have any, let's see, let me check my text messages. I don't think I have anything. My email, my message. Let me check Facebook real quick because I haven't checked Facebook, and that always gets a bunch of people commenting. Let's see here. Center. My emailing network is slow. All right, one comment. Tuning in from Lila. Lila, if you're there, thank you much for working. I gotta contact you. I have some questions on some stuff. Other than that, let's see. I see some questions regarding if Redondo, he's debating a mask ordinance on the Redondo Beach residence page. We are not. City of Manhattan Beach did, and doing that. So other than that, I think that's it, you guys. I don't see any. Oh, Ashley Wells, 23-year-old, died on a crash in Torrance last week. Her parents lived. Oh, wow. Mary, I did not hear that. Ashley Wells, 20-year-old, died in a crash in Torrance last week. That's so sad. I'm so sorry to hear that. Wow, that's tragic. I did not know that. Sorry to hear that. 23 years old. Oh man, that's horrible. Mary, tell her parents, you know, I'm so sorry to hear that. So other than that, oh, Pat, you got your hand up, your literal hand up. I don't hear you. You are muted. You are muted.
Okay. Yeah. One thing that's important to remember about, you know, like reported confirmed cases or deaths from COVID, that these are lagging indicators, meaning that the actual, you know, the actual sum could be much greater, like, you know, 2 to 4 times more greater. And they also come from a much broader pool of people that have had symptoms. Also, I don't think the civil unrest as currently isn't. I don't think could be a factor in that, because it's too small of a sample. But that's just that was my thing.
Cool. Thank you. You're right. The testing is a lagging indicator. Absolutely. By the time, once you get infected with coronavirus, it takes anywhere between, at minimum, I believe, I think 3 or 4 days to 14 days for you to show signs and symptoms, in which point in time you become symptomatic, and symptomatic, you can breathe off the virus and infect other people. And then it takes about 2 weeks from that point in time to get over it, which point in time some people go in the ICU, and if you go in the ICU, it takes about 1 to 2 weeks. So for the death rate that people see numbers out there, for the people that are passing away right now, they were infected probably about a month ago. So Pat, you're absolutely right. It's a significant lagging indicator, testing, and the death rate that we're getting. So other than that, there's a GoFundMe for Ashley and a memorial on the Esplanade next week, Saturday. Mary, if you can reach out to me, send me a text or send me on Facebook messaging or something, or an email about that, so I can put that out there so people can hear about that and offer, give some donations, do whatever they need to do in remembrance. I did not hear about that. That's so tragic. I'm so sorry to hear that. So thank you, Mary. If you can do that for me, that'd be great. And when it comes to Rick and your comment there, it's not our cops taking a knee. I don't believe that's our cops behind that picture that you're looking at. So if no one has any other questions, any virtual hands up, I don't see any actual hands up, I don't see any emails, any texts that have come through here. No one sent any text anyway, so that's good, except for one. So I will see you guys next month in August. Let me look right now. What is the next Saturday in August? That is the 8th, Saturday the 8th. So I will see you Saturday the 8th, or sometime around then, plus or minus. We will maybe be doing some chairs at 9:30 in the morning for 2 hours on the 8th.
It will be short because nobody wants to get sunburned.
So yeah, it'll be great. We'll see. We'll do an online one as well. So other than that, thank you guys very much for all showing up, and I will bid you goodbye.